وداخل مدينة البيض وما جاورها على الموجة 102.1
راديو ألجيري انترناسيونال.
بالنسبة لمنطقة الشرق الجزائري والجمهورية التونسية على الموجة المتوسطة 531 كيلو هرتز.
إذاعة الجزائر الدولية، صوتنا في العالم.
The 7th Summit meeting of the heads of state and government of the gas exporting countries, Algeria 2024. The Algerian radio is ensuring round-the-clock coverage of the Algiers Summit. Special coverage and interviews from several gas-producing and exporting countries will be broadcast by the Algerian radio thanks to its network of correspondents.
محمد بن سلطان مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة القطرية الدوحة.
سي دكار ثم ناخذ السنغال كريم الحاج محمد وش قالنا راديو ثغنمت.
رابح هوادة مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة الموريتانية نواكشوط.
You can follow the event from February 29 to March 2nd on the waves and digital platforms of the Algerian radio.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Ministerial Council of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum meeting here in Algiers with the participation of the energy ministers of the forum's member countries to discuss a draft declaration to be submitted to the summit meetings of the heads of state and government. The meeting of the high level of the ad hoc working group in charge of the preparation for the 7th summit wound up at the International Conference Centre by endorsing a draft declaration which is submitted to today's Ministerial Council meeting. As more ceasefire calls were made by the international community's members, the UN Security Council held consultations at the request of Algeria to examine the latest development in Gaza in the aftermath of perpetrated by the Israeli soldiers that claimed 112 lives. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has highlighted the convergence of views between Algeria and Mozambique on a number of regional and international issues of common concern, notably the Palestinian and Sahrawi questions. More details in this report by Mohamed Khatel.
In addition to evoking the situation in the Sahel and Great Lakes region, the President of the Republic reiterated Algeria's absolute support for the right of the brotherly Palestinian people to establish their independent state on the borders of June 4, 1967, with Al-Quds as its capital. With regard to the question of Western Sahara, the last colony in Africa, the President of the Republic stressed the imperative need to find a just and lasting solution, guaranteeing the Sahrawi people's legitimate right to self-determination, highlighting the common vision of Algeria and Mozambique on these issues in their capacity as non-permanent members of the UN Security Council.
فقد اغتنمنا أنا وأخي الرئيس هذه الفرصة لتبادل وجهات النظر حول عديد المستجدات دوليا وقاريا، خاصة الوضع في منطقة الساحل ومنطقة البحيرات الكبرى، كما تطرقنا إلى التطورات الخطيرة التي تعرفها منطقة الشرق الأوسط والمجازر اليومية التي يرتكبها الكيان الصهيوني ضد المدنيين الفلسطينيين العزل في قطاع غزة وفي الضفة. وفي هذا السياق جددنا دعمنا المطلق لتكريس حق الشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق في إقامة دولته المستقلة على حدود الرابع من جوان 1967 وعاصمتها القدس الشريف. وفيما يخص قضية الصحراء الغربية آخر مستعمرة في إفريقيا، أكدنا على أهمية إيجاد حل عادل ودائم يكفل للشعب الصحراوي ممارسة حقه المشروع في تقرير المصير. وما دمنا دولتين موزمبيق والجزائر عضوين غير دائمين في مجلس الأمن، لنا تطابق تام في الرؤى فيما يخص هذه القضايا وبالأخص القضية الفلسطينية وقضية الصحراء الغربية.
Meanwhile, the President of the Republic indicated that he had reviewed with his Mozambican counterpart ways and means of strengthening and broadening cooperation in several areas, including energy, agriculture, tourism, industry and fisheries, as well as higher education, vocational training and military cooperation. He also emphasized the importance of diversifying exports, increasing the flow of direct investment and promoting trade exchanges.
لقد بحثت مع أخي فخامة الرئيس نيوسي السبل الكفيلة لتعزيز التعاون وتوسيعه في مجالات الطاقة والفلاحة والسياحة والبنى التحتية والصناعة الصيدلانية والصناعات الغذائية والتعليم العالي والبحث العلمي والتكوين المهني والصيد البحري والتعاون العسكري كذلك، وما نريه معا من أهمية لتوزيع الصادرات وتدفق الاستثمارات المباشرة وترقية المبادلات التجارية.
The President of the Republic also reaffirmed Algeria's solidarity and support for the Republic of Mozambique in its fight against terrorism and violent extremism, while expressing Algeria's willingness to share its experience and expertise in this field. The two sides also agreed to reactivate the cooperation mechanism available to achieve the common objectives of the two countries, in particular the holding of the 6th session of the Joint Commission as soon as possible.
جددت لأخي فخامة الرئيس نيوسي وقوف الجزائر وتضامنها مع جمهورية موزمبيق في مواجهة الإرهاب ومحاربة التطرف العنيف، معربا له عن استعداد الجزائر لتقاسم تجربتها وخبرتها في هذا المجال. وبصفة عامة اتفقنا على تفعيل آليات التعاون المتاحة لتحقيق أهدافنا المشتركة، بدءا بعقد الدورة السادسة للجنة الثنائية المشتركة في أقرب الأجل.
For his part, the President of the Republic of Mozambique, Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, hailed Algeria's efforts to establish peace and security in the Sahel and North Africa regions, adding that his country will continue to count on Algeria's experience in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. The Mozambican President underlined the convergence of views between the two countries, which are non-permanent members of the UN Security Council, on all international and regional issues.
Nous allons continuer à compter.
We will continue to count on Algeria's experience, which is a large experience in the fight against terrorism and kidnapping. We also underlined that the country is facing the phenomenon of terrorism and violent extremism only in the region of Cabo Delgado, which is a gas-rich region. We would like to emphasize Algeria's role in stabilizing the North African region so that the Maghreb region becomes stable and peaceful. We are currently non-permanent members of the UN Security Council, and we will consult with Algeria to find a common position within the Security Council, the UN, the EU, and in other international forums to preserve peace, stability and prosperity in the African continent.
Stabilité, prospérité avec le continent africain.
Recalling the deep-rooted relations between the two countries, President Filipe Jacinto Nyusi said that the aim of his friendship and working visit to Algeria was to develop bilateral cooperation relations in various fields, adding in the same context that it had been agreed to relaunch the Joint Cooperation Commission between the two countries in order to define common objectives. President Filipe Jacinto Nyusi said that he had invited the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, to visit Mozambique.
President Tebboune and his Mozambican counterpart have co-chaired the signing ceremony of several cooperation agreements between the two countries. The cooperation agreements cover plant protection, plant guaranteeing, and animal health, as well as the energy sector and the mutual cancellation of visas for holders of diplomatic or service passports. The President of the Republic of Mozambique has visited the Jama al-Jazair Mosque as part of a welcome visit of friendship to Algeria at the invitation of the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune. It was the first time that the Friday prayer takes place at the mosque, which was inaugurated this week by President Tebboune. The visiting First Lady of the Republic of Mozambique, for her part, has paid a visit to the Center for Assisted Children in El Bierhir in Algiers. In a statement on the occasion, the First Lady of the Republic of Mozambique expressed her country's willingness to exchange expertise with Algeria in the field of child protection and the status of women. Now, the Ministerial Council of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum meeting here in Algiers with the participation of the energy ministers of the forum's member countries to discuss a draft declaration to be submitted to the summit meeting of the heads of state and government. From the International Conference Center, Abdelatif Rahel, our special envoy Asya Bikar, had more details.
The meeting has also been an opportunity to highlight the importance of gas in the energy transition and to highlight the participating countries' gas capacities. The Algerian Energy Minister Mohamed Al-Kaber reiterated the commitment of the forum's member countries to discuss the main concerns of the forum's member countries while facing the current challenges besetting the gas market. He also expressed Algeria's pride in hosting the summit.
We reiterate through this event our commitment and common awareness of the importance of strengthening cooperation and consultation and drafting suggestions and recommendations to be submitted at tomorrow's summit. This summit will take decisions and tackle the challenges that will face our countries in the future. Algeria is honored and proud to host this summit under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. Algeria made all possible efforts to ensure the success of the proceedings and activities of this important event.
The Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, Mohamed Hamel, for his part, said that the main goal of the meeting was to discuss the Algiers Declaration and welcomed the forum's new member.
Today's agenda includes the review and discussion of the draft Algiers Declaration prepared by a high-level ad hoc working group. Additionally, I extend a warm welcome to His Excellency Nani Ouchrouga, Minister of Petroleum, Energy and Mines of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, the newest member of the GECF. And I extend a heartfelt welcome to His Excellency Antoine Diome, Minister of Petroleum and Energies of the Republic of Senegal, which has officially submitted its application for membership in the GECF.
Nigeria's Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adilabo, sees the opportunity to shed light on his country's role as a key contributor to the world's energy market.
Nigeria, with one of the largest gas reserves in the world, has been at the forefront of harnessing this resource, not just for national development, but also as a key contributor to global energy mix. Our journey reflects the broader challenges and opportunities facing the global gas industry today. In the context of evolving global energy markets and the escalating urgency of climate change concerns, the role of natural gas has never been more critical. As we pivot together for a sustainable and environmentally friendly energy sources, natural gas stands out as a cleaner alternative to coal and oil.
In a statement to the press before taking part in the ministerial meeting, Iranian Energy Minister Ali Akbar Mehrabain recalled his country's gas production capacity and spoke about Iran's plans to increase investments in the gas sector.
و با برنامه‌ریزی که در زمینه تولید گاز انجام دادیم، امروز خوشبختانه بیش از 1 میلیارد و 70 میلیون متر مکعب تولید گاز طبیعیمون هست.
And based on our plans and programs, today we are producing more than 1.07 billion tons of cubic tons of the gas.
و تا 5 سال آینده تولید ما به 1 میلیارد و 300 میلیون متر مکعب خواهد رسید.
And in the next 5 years, our production will be increased to 1.3 billion cubic meters.
بنا داریم ظرف این 5 سال نزدیک به 80 میلیارد دلار در بخش توسعه میادین گازی سرمایه‌گذاری کنیم.
In the next 5 years, we are going to make investment for some 80 billion USD in the Iranian gas industry.
The ministerial meeting of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum carried on behind closed doors, and right now B2B meetings are being held in the International Conference Center to be followed by agreements mainly between the Algerian Energy Committee and the Economic Research Institute for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and East Asia. to Radio Algeria International, Asia Bikar, the International Conference Center, Algiers.
In the latest news, in a common statement to the press bringing together Energy Minister Mohamed Arqab and the Secretary General of the GECF, Mohamed Hamel, both officials held cooperation among the forum's countries, and the Energy Minister also announced the adhesion of Senegal to the forum. Earlier, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, has said in Algiers that the Gas Research Institute, part of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, inaugurated yesterday in Algiers, will make of Algeria an international center for gas development an valuable opportunity to revitalize and promote scientific research and management training, in addition to developing partnerships with research centers and universities in member countries and related centers. The meeting of the high-level ad hoc working group in charge of the preparations for the 7th summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum wound up at the International Conference Center by endorsing a draft declaration which is submitted to today's Ministerial Council meeting. Our reporter Asia Bikar, who covers the event, has more details.
During the high-level ad hoc working group meeting in charge of the preparations for the 7th summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum held behind closed doors, the final adjustments were made to the draft of the Algiers Declaration to be submitted to the extraordinary ministerial meeting before presenting it for adoption to the heads of state and government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum summit meeting, which will be chaired by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. On the sidelines of the meeting, the annual report of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, the Global Gas Outlook 2050, which provides long-term energy prospects, was examined. This 8th edition of the forum's annual report was presented and debated by gas industry professionals and academics participating in the Algiers summit during a session held behind closed doors pending its official release. This report centered on the gas market's trends and prospects. The report is a global reference publication for information on gas markets, developments and forecasts to help envision the global energy future by 2050. It tackles assumptions regarding macroeconomic conditions, energy prices and policies, as well as population growth and economic and geopolitical changes around the world. Asia Bikar to Radio Algeria International, the International Conference Center, Algiers.
Mr. Arqab has received the President of the Board of Directors of Gazprom, Special Representative of the President of the Russian Federation for Cooperation with the Forum of Gas Exporting Countries, Viktor Zubkov, with whom he discussed a cooperation and partnership between the two countries in the field of energy and mines and the prospects for their reinforcement. Our colleague Asia Bikar, who is at the International Conference Center, has met with Javaid Usama, a journalist from Al Jazeera channel, who highlighted the privilege offered by Algeria as a gas exporting country thanks to its geographical position and stable and reliable market.
I think because Algeria is in a critical position for geographically between Europe and Africa. I think because it is part of multiple initiatives of multiple gas pipelines. As you know, for gas, it's not just the availability of gas, but it's the provision of gas, how to take this gas towards areas where they most need it. So global crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic, such as the war in Ukraine, and supply chain issues have made it crucial for the world to look for alternative sources, and I think that's where Algeria has a very important role to play, not just now, for decades to come.
Now, more ceasefire calls were made by the international community's members. The UN Security Council held consultations at the request of Algeria to examine the latest developments in Gaza in the aftermath of the massacre perpetrated by the Israeli soldiers that claimed 112 lives. Mariam Barshi.
760 other Palestinians were wounded when the Israeli soldiers fired at crowds of people who were queuing to receive aid north of the town of Gaza. In this connection, the UN Security Council examined how to ensure the funneling of humanitarian aid in the face of the international community's incapacity to put an end to Israel's attack and to force it to abide by international law. Addressing the consultation held behind closed doors, Algeria's ambassador to the UN, Amr Ben Jameh, condemned it in its strongest terms, the barbaric act targeting civilians, and called for Israel's accountability of the crimes perpetrated in Gaza. Addressing the Council, Palestine's representative at the UN, Riyad Mansour, is having more on the expectations of the Palestinians.
We are grateful that Algeria and us, we talked very quickly and we acted very quickly. We sent a letter to the Security Council and to the SG and the President of the General Assembly, and we put in that letter the information available to us, and we condemn in the strongest possible terms this heinous massacre against our people, in violation of everything, including the provisional measures asked for by the ICJ in the case of South Africa on the genocide situation in Gaza by the Israeli forces against our people.
Meanwhile, several countries, including Spain, Italy and Saudi Arabia, condemned the massacres perpetrated by the Israeli soldiers, whereas both France and Germany called for an inquiry. China, for its part, called for a ceasefire and for an access to humanitarian aid. The Qatar, which together with the US and Egypt, is undertaking a mediation to secure a cessation of hostilities, urged for an international action to put an end to the Israeli attacks that caused more than 30,200 deaths so far.
The 7th summit meeting of the heads of state and government of the gas exporting countries, Algeria 2024. The Algerian radio is ensuring round-the-clock coverage of the Algeria summit. A special coverage and interviews from several gas-producing and exporting countries will be broadcast by the Algerian radio thanks to its network of correspondents.
محمد بن سلطان مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة القطرية الدوحة.
سي دكار ثم ناخذ السنغال كريم الحاج محمد وش قالنا راديو ثغنوز.
ذهب هوادة مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة الموريتانية نواكشوط.
You can follow the event from February 29 to March 2nd on the waves and digital platforms of the Algerian radio.
Hello dear listeners and welcome on our waves. We are now ensuring the coverage of the gas exporting countries Forum Summit meeting here in the International Conference Center, and we have with us Mr. Boutamine Chouaib, who is an international energy expert. Mr. Boutamine, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, pleasure is also mine. Thank you.
Great. So could you give us an overview of the current summit?
Okay, this is a very important summit for Algeria and for all exporting countries. Let me remind you that 70% of the global reserves are really, the forum is holding 70% of the global reserves and 40% of the marketed share in the global market. So this is a huge importance if we see the reserves available in these countries. I think the future will be for natural gas for sure, but we are holding this summit in a very critical situation. We know it's really geopolitical issues are rising. We have seen how problems of Nord Stream and 1 and 2 in Russia, and how we have seen a sabotage over there. So Nord Stream 1 was exporting like 55 billion cubic meters of natural gas to the European Union, and the second one also we had like sabotage both of them, and we are shifting like natural gas supplies from Russia to another destination. In the other hand, Russia at the moment is developing two pipes, Power Siberia 1 and 2, to